we have a very important person, a knower of ball, to say the least. He is the director of paid media at D2C darling HexClad. London, get inside the show. London Spilker, everyone. Get in here. Yes.
Go.
Yes. Let's go.
Brother. Wow.
How we doing?
Man, doing great. Now, London, because of your name, I just imagined you would have a very strong English accent is that the case? I'm not hearing it so far.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Can translate 1-1, but
I didn't translate 1-1, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Brother, we are so glad to have you. We know you've been at the helm, man, running this paid media machine up with Gordon Ramsay along for the ride. Just give us perspective on the last 3 years in doing that. I mean, what have been your biggest learnings as you've been steering the ship inside all the ad accounts?
Yeah. I mean, the last 3 years feels like probably 10 years.
I bet.
For sure.
It's definitely been a long ride for sure. I've learned a ton over the last 3 years, thanks to Cam and Connor kind of steering the ship. And, I was fairly green prior to HexClad, coming from like a pretty in-depth like media buying, hands-on keyboard background to the last year prior to joining HexClad was more of a growth manager role. It was a very, very small team, pretty much just myself, Cam and Connor in the first, I'd say 6 to 12 months. And we spanned across everything from retention to acquisition, planning for sales, just
love it.
3 people. And along the way, as we built out these, teams in the growth department, it's less scrappy, I'd say. I think that was probably one of the biggest wins, is like finding talented people in each one of these niches. So creative, media buying, et cetera, really all of these facets of growth, finding the best people. And really that's what took us to the next level. I don't think there was any secret sauce, although, we do some pretty cool stuff. I think we are on the forefront of growth in D2C. And it feels like every time we test something, implement it, it hits mainstream media, Twitter, LinkedIn in about, a couple of months afterwards. So it is really cool. Every day I'm fired up to build. And I don't think I'll ever lose that passion. I think I'm more excited moving into this year than I ever have been before.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
LinkedIn's going to get it probably 5 months after you guys discover it.
Probably.
So a little bit of a delay there.
Right.
You're rocking and rolling in some of the coolest ad accounts on the planet. What are you thinking about as far as paid media channels that are super exciting for you in 2026? And are you looking at that OpenAI kind of like, ooh, I'm excited to even test you out. We got to get in there. We got to start paying with you. How are you thinking about everything?
It's a tricky question. I think we've uncovered a lot with our media mix in general. I think the channels that excite me moving into this year are just some of those more top of funnel video heavy channels, almost like YouTube, and then obviously CTV and linear TV leading the pack as well. Doing a lot of cool sports buys. Last year with our Super Bowl ad,
right?
We learned a lot, and we're carrying over sports into this year, and building out our sports forecast and how we allocate that spend is super interesting to me, and I think is going to be integral to this year's growth and success. I think across the board, like our creative has leveled up truly in so many different ways over the last year, and we had an incredible year. Pretty much every single metric, even soft metrics across the board, are showing incredible increases. Wow. And we're hoping to increase that into this year, which we've already seen insane growth in January, and hoping to carry that into the next few months here. But I think creative is and will continue to still be one of the biggest levers you can pull in an ad account, and especially as you move upper funnel into these more video heavy channels, like creative becomes more and more important. We've built out our individual production studios, and really our whole team is invested into these channels now, and we're all really stoked about producing assets in a similar fashion to Meta, but really just getting specific with the creative we output for that specific channel. And that doesn't stop with just top of funnel video channels. That's across the board, AppLovin, TikTok, etc. Like just making sure we get more specific with our output and also our learnings across these channels too, because a 5-second unskippable placement is a heck of a lot different than a completely unskippable placement, or think AppLovin, the whole thing is unskippable.
Right.
There's all of these different ad formats. It's easy to get caught up in, oh, let's just dupe it out. Whatever works on Meta, it'll work on these other channels, but it doesn't. Yeah, well, it does to an extent starting off. That's great, sure. But at this point at our scale, it's we're really focused on that next 1% efficiency increase, and that's definitely one of the ways we're going to achieve that.
So, London, when you guys started, you've got the tight, scrappy team of big brain marketers who are solely focused on all things. And you guys, as you have grown, you have expanded. You've got your own studios now where you are producing content yourselves. Tell me about that, because that sounds like a marketer's playground.
Yeah. I feel like that was one of the big steps the path we routed into. All of these agencies across the board, like they provide immense value. At some point, it just makes sense to bring it in-house.
Yeah.
I think once you're testing into these top of funnel video channels, like it's totally fine to go the agency route. And eventually once you get to that stage, just like everything else across the board in terms of growth, like it just makes sense to bring it in-house. And that's something we've worked on for, the last really 2 years since we've started producing a ton of content and just building hype around the team for these high-fly top of funnel video channels. And big props to our head of content, Matt Ducker, who's built out that arm of the business. That's definitely helped as we've scaled into these channels.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, plus you got content with one of the coolest guys around in the entire world, who's one of the most famous chefs of all time. Throwing that out there, it's pretty
not bad.
Not a bad, horse to have on your stable there. Absolutely. Are you also, I mean, you got Gordon Ramsay. He's like the end all be all of cooking. Are you also thinking about other smaller influencers to kind of bring into the core team? Or are you guys, hey, we want to triple down on Gordon Ramsay and just make it, Gordon Ramsay moving forward full steam ahead? How are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I think the easy path would be, double, triple down on Gordon and, call it a day. But there's so many, smaller creators, especially now. I've seen this change, over the last 2 years. Is one brand might have this amazing influencer, think like Dr. Squatch with their comedian they had on a deal for a while. But there's so much out there, and really at this point in our scale, like hitting new audiences is very, very important. And one of the ways we can do that is with creators. And getting different types of creators, different niches, moving away from our traditional, chef or cooking, whether that's micro or, macro influencers. We work with a ton of different creators across the board. Last year, we really took some strides into influencers and creators outside of like just the traditional cooking space. And that definitely helped us reach, new audiences. That's always going to be something we're going to combat. And every single brand, at scale is going to start hitting reach and frequency caps, and, percent new visits and reaching new people is one of the core KPIs moving into this year. And, as we go upper funnel and into, these video driven channels, there's also ways to do that same thing on Meta, which is still, a solid percent of our mix. But with that being said, moving into whitelisted creators, going upper funnel with, different objectives on Meta, and producing different content is going to be the route to success. But yeah, we've worked with a ton of different micro creators specifically. I think the, affiliates are great too, but there's something to be said about, instead of going after those macro bigger influencers, like reaching out to those smaller micro creators, and having a paid specific approach to those is definitely the way to go. I think it's easy to get caught up in, oh, let's get organic content posted too, and make it less of a paid media specific deal and more of a overall rounded deal. And I think, brands need to start treating influencers and creators for paid media specifically, and separate those two facets.
That's fascinating that you bring that up. I think, London, of course, you guys have this incredible outsized A-list producer on your list. Gordon Ramsay. I confess this as someone who regularly watches old Kitchen Nightmares episodes late at night on YouTube. anything the guy's face is on, I want to watch. Okay, I want to interact with, and I know that the wise thing is to go beyond him and do more. I totally get that. I agree with that. But I also wonder, when you put that guy's face on something, is there the Gordon Ramsay bump? I mean, is it just click-through rate up through the roof and share rate? I mean, what's that look like? I mean, with this unique experience you have.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't beat an influencer like that. I mean, we see the Gordon effect for sure.
The Gordon effect,
especially across traditional paid social channels, and that's where like evaluation becomes incredibly important, is like at our scale too. So we have these individual controls per facet of whatever creative type we're launching, whether that's a static with Gordon is going to get its own category because A, we have enough data, and B, we're producing assets in that specific category at a frequency where we can start evaluating those specifically based on that account-wide control. And that's where we're not, launching a Gordon asset and then comparing that to, one of our newest micro creators. Each micro creator gets its own control, and then that'll output like our targets and KPIs for that specific facet of creative. I think you can think about it as, high level, it's static versus video. Like those two perform drastically different across all accounts. And then you can go, layers deeper into each, two of those categories, and, start tagging specific assets with, Gordon, whether that's like an influencer or a type of asset. Let's say it's a product or e-com specific static. Like those are going to get evaluated a different way than, a Gordon overlay with no offer. Yeah. And there's so many of these different breakdowns and categories that you can, start looking into, but it really matters about like A, how much you're launching in each one of these categories, and B, how much you're spending. And you'll start to understand like when you can start bucketing like these groups of creative into their own categories. And I think that's definitely helped us like step up our performance, because we're not evaluating, a Gordon to a micro. I think every brand should be doing it.
Complexified, appropriately complexified. That's really good. One thing that I thought was too little seen, London, in our community in general, and sometime toward the end of last year, you released like the mother of all spreadsheets. That thing was giant, and it was, categorically how you can measure performance on this and that with this and that. The thing was really impressive. I think it probably should have got about 10x the reach that it had, which I think, substantial reach, 24, 34, 44,000, something like that. That thing to me was alpha that everybody should sign up and get.
Seriously.
Tell us about that. The creation. I would imagine you're working with something similar or were in the past inside of HexClad. Tell us about the creation of that mother of all spreadsheets.
Absolutely. And I think you're referring to the forecasting.
Yes, I am. That's exactly what I'm referring to.
Absolutely. And HexClad's scale, like we need to be tracking every single metric across the board. Like, every $1, multiply that by, 10, 20, 50, like a 1% increase in efficiency, because we can track 100% accurate numbers effectively will mean the world. And, Northbeam, Triple Whale, et cetera, like amazing third-party vendors. But their purpose is not tracking like spend and rev and forecasting spend to the degree that we do. And I think every brand should be tracking their media mix and overall spend and revenue numbers in a spreadsheet format similar to the one I produced. And actually, yeah, we are using that same exact spreadsheet template currently. It's definitely leveled up our game. It's fully automated, so we can see, that specific day's data and compare that with our forecast, make any adjustments, because a plan really is only as good as the action or actualized data behind it. And that's where, media buyers could see the plan and spend up or down or vice versa. I've seen pretty much everything across the board, and we actually have alerts set up now so we can track like any overspending, underspending, and especially once you start, getting into these upper funnel channels or, more than just Meta, Google, TikTok. We're on 20 plus channels now, and to be able to track that effectively across the board, A, in terms of performance, and B, in terms of like how much we're spending is really, really important. And any compounded like over or underspend for a significant period of time, which I've seen happen in so many different cases across the board with other brands, can be super detrimental to any brand's success. And that sheet really just helps people start understanding the importance of forecasting, even if you're doing, 500K in revenue a year or, $1 billion, really should be taking that same kind of approach to your media mix, your numbers, and making sure you're tracking to that same degree. And it's really built out like that template for, any brand, whether you're at, 1 million or $1 billion, it has the capabilities for every brand. So yeah, that was, I'm with you there. I think that tweet should have a bit more, but happy with where it landed, and glad I could provide that to that resource to our community, and hopefully get to brands tracking numbers.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely, man. Well, brother, we love what you do, and I hope to see some more Gordon content that comes out. I was watching Next Level Chef. The whole thing looks like a HexClad commercial. I'm watching it. Oh my God, I see HexClad everywhere. Man, we love what you do, and we appreciate your help to the community. We appreciate having you on the show, man. Give us, before you go, give us 30 seconds of where people can follow you and find you and stay up to date with everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. First and last name, London, London, Spilker, Spilker. More active on Twitter than LinkedIn, but feel free to give me a follow where you see fit. And yeah, really appreciate it, you guys. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to your audience and you guys following HexClad over the next year. We got some really cool stuff cooking.
I believe that. London, we appreciate having you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.